One.
Oh, is that it? That's the program, yeah. Do you want to put it here? And we can...
Come a little closer. It feels like religious school. Come on, come over here so I can see you all. I like to see the community up close and personal. Come a little closer. Much better. Come, instead of all hiding there behind the seats. Come a little closer, so we're not sitting in religious school. Come, get out of those back seats, come in front. I'm serious. Do I have to come and get you personally? Because I will. I will. Okay.
Chaps, what do you want on stage?
This is ridiculous. They can all come in
Of
front.
course they can. And I don't know why they're so resistant.
I don't know, but it looks uncomfortable and unkind. We found this in the ladies' loo. It says, Catherine, I think they're yours. It's always a loo, even if it is for ladies. It's okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now we start with a reading, a poem, Keturah.
For women, since today it's Women's Day, the famous march against the past laws in 1956. So I'm going to pay tribute in a poem and a song. Tribute to women. I'll start off with Ike, Ikahal, Ike. This is what is written in the coat of arms. South African coat of arms. 1956, on the 9th of August, the baby protest of earlier protest in the 20s, 30s, 40s.
You might have to do something about the sound.
Yes.
Okay.
No. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Again. Okay, sure. I'll start. The tribute to women. Ike, Ehe, Ikaha, Ike is written in our South African coat of arms. 1956, on the 9th August, the baby protest of earlier protest in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on and so forth. The protest against past laws. The pot had boiled to the point of do or die, perish or fight, divine beings who are women, epitomized, marginalized, hypnotized, colonized West African women suffered triple oppression. These are philosophers, scientists, midwives, the first ones to see in Ndokusakusa the morning star. Ngonozala belizwe ababonakalisa isibindi kwidibilolwa ubandululo lwebala ngobandululo lwetshini zindlezana emabhalem mbhaxa nobhonxileyo ancancisa sonke isizwe. It's 17 May 2002. Bridget Mabandla is in Tracadero. To Sarah Beiteman, our mother, I've come to take you home. Let's go home where you will rest, says Bridget Mabandla to Sarah Beiteman. Amanina omama, makhosikazi, amakhosikazi, halala, ayeye, halala, kuyisi one. Aha, akwaqamile. Halala bonomkhulwana. Ubethi intala. ezinzi ngelitshe elinye. Phecelezi, multitasking. This is the being of a woman. Zingathu zengaphephe, zingqeqeshi, zimkhombandlela zesizwe. Kwisithe sobuntu. Malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi. Igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe. Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo, uzokufa. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. You strike a woman, you struck ubuntu. J.G. Stradum got into his car and fled. Malibongwe, igama lamakhosikazi. Velinqangi, zingangalu philisa umzimba, zingangalu philisa umphefumlo. Ndiyayithanda Linda Bendala, ndizingqengela zibusi, sizingqengela zibusi, zinganggalu philisa umzimba, zinganggalu philisa umphefumlo. Nabakudala babethanda za omama, babethanda za amakhosikazi ayathanda zingangala izibusi, zingangala izibusi, zingangala ukuphilisa umphefumlo. Ndiyayithanda Linda Bendala, velinqangi, izingangala ukuphilisa umzimba, ukuphilisa umphefumlo. Malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi.
Okay. Diane.
As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be amongst those who kindle light. Please rise.
No, I'm doing the next one.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Page 121.
If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with ridicule, they learn to be shy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with tolerance, they learn to be patient. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with praise, they learn to appreciate. If children live with fairness, they learn justice. If children live with security, they learn to have faith. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with acceptance and friendship, they learn to find love in the world.
Amen. 127. And if you're standing, please be seated. Have a seat.
So, page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonders, day of peace.
Amen. We're on page 129. Robin? Robin is not here. Diane, will you read it?
Robin is online.
Oh,
she's
Robin is
not.
online. Will you read, May the door of the synagogue be wide enough for us?
May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, and hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness and harshness. May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Amen. We continue with Lechuna Ranina. Please don't take the little one out. That's the best prayer we hear all night. Don't take him out. 1:30, Lechuna Ranina. It's okay.
Lechuna ranana ladonai, lechuna ranana ladonai, ladonai, ladonai. Naria l'tzur yeshenu, naria l'tzur yeshenu, yeshenu, yeshenu. Nekadma, fana b'toda, nekadma, fana b'toda, b'toda, b'toda. Bismirot, narialo, bismirot, narialo, bismirot, narialo, bismirot, narialo, narialo.
I just want to say that this song is taken from the original, is called Ingwe Mabala Bala I Uwo, and Uwo is a women's organization which was started in the 1980s in Cape Town, United Women's Organization. And Ingwe Mabala Bala, I think it means a leopard has many colors. And the idea was that Uwo was a non-racial organization.
Okay, we're on page 132. What is the little one's name? Noah. Don't take him out. Just bring him closer. That's all I want you to do. Sing to the eternal, new song, all the earth. Sing to the eternal and bless God's name and proclaim God's presence day after day. Tell of God's glory amongst the nation, about God's wondrous deeds among all people. We're going to go on to page, let's see, trying to see where or Zarua? Okay, or Zarua.
ישרלב שמחה, עוזרו על הצדיק, ולישרלב שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. עוזרו על הצדיק ולישרלב שמחה, עוזרו על הצדיק ולישרלב שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו.
No, it's mine. Okay. Ay, gewalt. Okay, where were we? On page 136. It's not Shabbat unless I hear Noah. And if he wants to come and join, he should just do whatever he wants to do. It's totally fine. Psalm 29, talking about God's voice having the ability to create and break and make the earth thunder and make us and animals skip like calves. So let's do this. You have heard me do it. No, don't take him out. He's lovely. Don't take him out. Oh, okay. You win. Here we go. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, כל לאדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים אדוני, על מים, על מים רבים. על מים רבים. כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, ישבר אדוני את הר זה הלבנון, וירקדם כמו עגל לבנון, וסיריון כמו בן ראמים, כמו בן ראמים. כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכול איילות, ויחשוף יערות ובחלו, כולו מרכבות, כולו מרכבות, כולו מרכבות. אדוני למה בול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. And the rule is, if the rabbi can sing it, so can you. So don't forget that. Page HHDs.
So this HHD is also taken from a struggle song, Sikalela Izwelagiti, and because it's Women's Day, I'm going to sing the original first.
Sikalela Izwelagiti, Sikalela Izwelagiti, Elatatwa Kalama Kalakachane, Elatatwa Kalama Kalakachane, Lekadodi Liprakala, Pene
We're on page 140 with Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, Psalm 92.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד לי בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. תשימתני אדוני בפועלך, מעשה ידיך שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
We're going to go straight into Tzadik Katamar, second part on page 140.
צדיק כתמר יפרח יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח, כרס בלבנון יזכה, כרס בלבנון יזכה, כרס בלבנון יזכה, יזכה. כרס בלבנון יזכה, כרס בלבנון יזכה, כרס בלבנון יזכה, יזכה. שתולים בבית אדוני, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו, בחצרות אלוהינו, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. בחצרות אלוהינו, בחצרות אלוהינו, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינבון ינבון בשיבה, עוד ינבון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים, דשנים ורעננים, דשנים ורעננים יהיו. דשנים ורעננים, דשנים ורעננים, דשנים ורעננים יהיו. להגיד כי ישר אדוני, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולת בו, 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 צורי ולא עוולת בו.
So before we go into the PowerPoint, we're going to go straight into Shalom Aleichem. If I can sing it, that means you can sing it as well. Here we go, and it's the same melody throughout. You can be in tune, out of tune. I just want to hear you. Right, Noah? Noah gets it. Okay. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei HaSharet, מלכי עליון, מלכי עליון, מי מלך, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Let me hear you. בואכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון, מלכי עליון, מי מלך, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ברכוני לשלום. I want to hear you over here. מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון, מלכי עליון, מי מלך, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא, צאתכם לשלום, מלכי השלום. I know that people know it. מלכי עליון, מלכי עליון, מי מלך, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. PowerPoint now, or do you want to do Chatzi Kaddish first? Maybe do the Chatzi Kaddish and then into the PowerPoint. Okay. I think that makes more sense. Okay, so we're on page 144, Chatzi Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ויומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו, יהי שמי רבה מרח ללם מלמי אלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקודשה, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. So have a seat before the Baruch Hu. We have a PowerPoint, I think. So have a seat. PowerPoint? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you heard Keturah saying, you strike a woman, you strike a rock. And that song was actually written for the time when the women marched to the union buildings in Pretoria. They marched to hand over petitions to Strydom, Minister Strydom, and he was too scared to come out of his office and receive them. Let's move to the next slide. So this I'm going to read. As South African Jews, we celebrate this historic event when women stood together to voice their opposition to apartheid government legislation. On the 9th of August 1956, 20,000 women gathered at the union buildings in Pretoria to protest against the passed laws on women. The Prime Minister, J.G. Strydom, fled, even though the protest was peaceful. The women stood in silent defiance and sang what was to become the rallying call of the movement. Watinta bafazi, watinti mbokoto, uzakufa. Watinta bafazi, watinti mbokoto, uzakufa. Okay, the next slide. So many women have been inspired by this event to create artworks. And this is an artwork that, if I'm not correct, well, I think I'm correct, is actually at the union buildings. It was specially done for the union buildings to commemorate the Women's March. And you can see the stone there for grinding millet or corn or whatever. Okay, next slide. So these were the 4 women leaders, and you can see they're different races. That was the idea, that this was a non-racial struggle, and Lillian Ngoyi in the middle, next to Helen Joseph, and who lived in Norwood, and Sophie Williams and Rahima Musa. And they tried to deliver the tens of thousands of petitions by women from every town, dorp, and farm around. Okay, the next slide. the day that rock beat paper. Okay, I think that's how they felt on that day, that rock was beating paper. But in fact, Stradom did institute the pass laws for women, but he also died quite soon after that. Okay, next slide. Here you can just see women milling around with their posters. Women do not want passes. With passes we are slaves. Next slide. There, that just gives you a sense of the numbers of women who were there. And the next slide. Okay, again, so it was 20,000. And the last slide, this was produced by Judy Seidman. Beautiful poster. Now you've touched the women, you have struck a rock, you have dislodged a boulder, you will be crushed. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
All right. So, without further ado, would you please rise for the bar?
Is it the Baraku?
Page 148 with Ma'ariv Aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim v'chokmah poteach shiramim ובתבונם שנה איתי ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע ברצונו Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, Adonai צבאות שמו. Please join in. אדוני צבאות שמו, אדוני צבאות שמו, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אמרי בן
So we're on page 149, the first reading, and since it is a translation that picks up the sort of the flow of the Hebrew, it would be nice if you do it with me, and it doesn't all have to be synchronized. I actually prefer if it's not, so that I can actually hear you pray rather than hearing myself. Here we go, people. Praise to you, eternal our God, from whom this evening flows. Let me hear you. And in the Hebrew, let's hear you. Baruch. I remember when I first brought a friend who was very Catholic to services on a Friday night in Amsterdam, and she was surprised that it wasn't all so synchronized as she was used to it. People were starting and people were stopping, and I said, that's how we daven. So I like to hear all of you, not just myself or Noah, although Noah, what do you have there? A little airplane? Okay, he's pretty cute. We're on page 150. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amchavta, Torah umitzvot, chukim umishpatim, otanu limadata. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu beshochbeinu ufkumenu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha ub'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu, uvehem nege yomam v'layla, והבטחה אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. So let's do the English underneath, because that's closest in the translation we can get. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, eternal our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments, and we will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. Never remove your love from us. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Would you please rise for the Shema? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Have a seat. We're on page 154. If you recognize what I'm doing, join in, and otherwise do your own melody, that's fine too. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Okay, let's see. We're on page... well, I'm not sure if I want to read that, but okay, we're on page 156. So let's hear you read the English underneath Emet ve'emuna kol zot ve'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ein zulato ve'anachnu Yisrael amo. It talks about that God liberated us, but we have on a daily basis make the choice to be Jews by choice. Whether you were born a Jew or you became a Jew later in life, every day there is a choice before us. Right, Noah? You have to choose to come to services. You got it. Okay. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. Let me hear you. Amen. So that's what I think Miriam was doing when she got us across that Reed Sea singing. And I'm quite sure not everybody was in tune and not everybody was synchronized. And I wish you could hear yourself when I'm listening to you, because then it becomes truly a prayer we say together rather than just us saying it for you. Mi chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai.
Kamocha nedar bakodesh,
Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל Yisrael. So before we go into the Hashkivenu, let's read the English, because it's a pretty English, and it talks about what it means to be a human being, a human condition, whether you are women walking against past laws and passes, or whether we're just ordinary human beings being worried about our family members or friends. Ashkiveni talks about that. So let's do the English on page 161 together, the second reading, before Jessica and Rory sing it for us. Give us a place to rest, eternal our God. Bring us into shelter, into the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth, and prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your blanket of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו
לחיים ולשלום ואתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
השכיבנו
אדוני
אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו.
I'm not hearing you. לחיים.
ושמור צאתנו לחיים ושלום ואתה ועד עולם.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. Okay, we're on page 162 with the Shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
continue with the Amidah, I'd like to call Petra and Morgan up to come and open and close the Ark. Tonight is a little different, so I know lots of people are coming up to be heard. Maybe it would be good if they come to the middle table, because the Ark is still open for the Amidah, for the English readings, so we hold on to a little bit of flow.
Adonai sefatai diftachu fiagi tilapecha, Iterogara oguna kalem siramat medikleru. Bukata Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחייבת עם מטרה והושיעה, מחכה חיים וחסד, מחייבת עם רחמים רבים, סומך גויים ואומר גויים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, וישנה מחמו ובעל גדול, ומגדומנו מלך מריד מהגן, ומציע ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות. ברוך אתה אדוני בחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום יעלו חסרה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. אתה קדשת את יום השביעי שמך. Continue silently, you'll hear opening and closing, and here and there a different reading. הוא השמיים והרצפות, שמח אלוהים ביום השביעי לכו אשר עשה. אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות, אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו מאבותינו, אצלנו כתבנו, יקדשנו במצוותיך, ותן חטאנו בתורתך, ושגנו מצוותיך. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Disturb us, O God, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, O God, deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
ורצף אדוני אלוהינו חי ישראל, וקמה ותקבל, ויעצור ותמיד בית ישראל, עמך, קרוב התורה. ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר, שכינתו לציון, מודים אנחנו לך.
Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Le'olam va'ed Zu Chayenu Magen Yishenu Zu Chayenu Magen Yishenu Atau Ledor Vador Ledor Vador Nudelecha ונספר תהילתך all חיינו המסורים בידיך והנשמותינו הפקודות לך והניסיך שבכל יום עמנו ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל ערב ובוקר וצהריים ערב ובוקר וצהריים הטוב כי לא חלום רחמך והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך מעולם קיווינו לך קיווינו לך קיווינו לך
ואת כולם יתברך יתמם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. בכל החיים יראו חסרה יעלו את שמך באמת על נשמותינו ועשרותינו. סלע ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שמך לך נאה להודות. שלום רב על ישראל עמך.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, our eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisakol el kol cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama.
So we're going to give people a moment or two to try and finish the Amidah, and then once the ark is closed, we can go into Oseh Shalom. אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתי מדבר מרמה. כבר דחולתי, פתח ליבי בתורתך, ומצוותיך תרדוף נפשי.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We reach for you, our God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of the sunlight and the shadows on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat. Find the stillness of the sanctuary which our souls cherish. Renew the covenant of an ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith. Quiet places and stillness where we hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness from which we reach out to each other. We find strength in silence, and with this strength we turn to your service.
So in this part of the service, we take a moment out to think of those people within the community and those on the outside. It could be because they're physically not doing well. Could also be because they're emotionally not doing well. If you have the name of such a person, I'd like you to call it out now. We'll start at this part of the sanctuary and then we'll go that way. So by all means, if you have a name, please call out that name now.
Sarah, Himelech b'kara tzara tichayeni
If Not Now, A Prayer for Women by Stacey Zizuk Robinson. You've got the words there so you can follow. Who would have strength to stand truth to power, a tightrope walk against the wind, with no net below except for the hand of God? Who would walk the road less travelled, the one of rocky crags and razor wire, that curves into a perilous wood, and still look up with hope? Who would sing the song of dissonance when it is easier, far easier, to slip into the stream and be carried by its current? Who would dare to demand justice, show mercy, offer comfort, shout defiantly? Who would love in the face of hate? Pua stood and Shifra by her side, choosing life and the cry of babes over one man's harsh decree. And Miriam, the one of tambrel and drum, she danced across a river and sang a song of freedom's call. Who will stand now, if not for me? Who will rise now and march now and sing a song of freedom's call now? Who, if not for me? Once more, and yet again, if not now, when?
Is Harriet here? No? No? Okay. Harriet Perlman? No? Okay.
So we're going to move on to our guest speaker. So for those of you who grew up in an Orthodox community or even in the Reform community, the idea of having a woman rabbi for a long time was a far-fetched dream for those of us who had feminist leanings. And then there was Rabbi Julia and Beit Luria, and then there was Rabbi Emma, and more recently Rabbi Andy. But now we actually have our very own woman rabbi right here leading our community at Beit Emmanuel and leading us into a new era. Rabbi Chava Costa is the daughter of Holocaust survivors, and she apparently told her family at the age of 16 that she was going to be a rabbi. And this was at a time in Amsterdam when there were no women rabbis. And she apparently said, "Watch me." And here she is. And this is the kind of person we have who's going to lead us further forward, which is something that really lifts us up. She was educated in Amsterdam, Jerusalem, London, and New York City. And after her ordination from the Academy for Jewish Religion and the Jewish Theological Seminary in 1997, Rabbi Costa held an associate rabbinical position in New Jersey and eventually became the senior rabbi of Congregation B'nai Israel in New York, a position she held for 18 years, as well as serving as senior rabbi in Texas. Her focus has always been on revitalizing communities, on revitalizing them through prayer, through music, but also through social justice and through interfaith dialogue and cooperation. With her visionary leadership and spiritual leadership, she has been able to revive communities in downtown New York. But she's also worked hard in Israel with the International Women Clergy Committee and outreach throughout the Middle East and through Jordan. When she's not being the rabbi, she's also a student of flamenco and classical guitar, speaks not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but 8 different languages. She holds a doctoral degree in English historical linguistics and an MA in phonetics, as well as an MA in English language and literature, and is the senior rabbinic fellow at Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem. It's my great pleasure on this Women's Day to ask our very own first female rabbi to talk to us a little bit about what that journey was like.
Okay. So I don't like to talk about myself, and I like it even less if others talk about me, so there you are. So Donna Bueno de Mesquita was a woman who was forced to live life as a Catholic. And every Friday night, she would place 2 candles on her dinner table, and then she would light them. And before she kindled the candles, she would turn the picture of Jesus hanging on her dining room to the wall. And on the other side of the frame, she had placed a mirror. She did that so at least once a week she could see and remember who she really was, a Jew. Several years after the start of the Inquisition in Spain and Portugal, that very branch of the Bueno de Mesquita family boarded ship to Antwerp and traveled through to Amsterdam, where they found refuge with the Da Costa family. And together they started a fledgling diamond trading company, later known as Coster Diamonds. And to this day, the branches of the Da Costa family, including my own, still have some Bueno de Mesquita members. So as a young girl raised in a family rather decimated by the Holocaust, I fought against the concept of a God, let alone a just one. How could faith, in my arrogant 15-year-old opinion, make any difference? We, humanity, were supposed to make the difference, and yet we were all alone. God at that time, or faith to me, was irrelevant. It was not just that there was suffering and evil in God's world, it was the scale and the tragedies, large and small, that littered the landscape of every life and robbed us of our dreams. At that time, I saw religion as a crutch, unworthy of free people. If only we were smarter and stronger, we would realize that the God we worshipped was modeled on Oriental despotism and was no better than the people who needed this God. So part of my conviction at that time that faith was useless was based on my great-grandfather's experiences. A man who lost his belief together with most of his family, and a man who taught me and insisted time and again to rely on my own integrity and follow its every beckoning voice. A man who left his Judaism because he felt that those who believed in God had been unwilling to shoulder the sky, to face the darkness of the world he grew up in and the world he lost his family to without anyone or anything to prop him up. Yet the older I got, the more life challenged my great-grandfather's lessons, and with them my preconceptions about strength of character. And I began to realize that everyone is afflicted with suffering and weakness, the non-religious no less than the believer. No one is perfectly logical in their dealings with others, and passions bend us all. And I realized that people of faith are not the only ones with crutches, and that we all hobble on this path we call life. Weakness is not always a distortion, and I've learned to understand that sometimes weakness allows one to see more of the truth than strength does. And over the years, I discovered that there was a joy and a freedom in telling the truth about stumblings, mine, those of others, and so I stumbled my way into the rabbinate and a very strong belief in the Almighty. Many of my female rabbinic colleagues have shared their journeys and stumblings on their path to be fully recognized as rabbis. I personally remember my first summer as an associate rabbi in New Jersey. I had just received notification that one of my congregants had died. And as is my custom, I asked to meet with the family at my office in the synagogue. And when the oldest son took one look at me, he, in a very persistent manner, told me that he wanted a rabbi with a beard. So I gently tried to explain that since the senior rabbi was on vacation, he had to contend with me, a rabbi who definitely had no beard and no intentions of growing one. So after the initial, somewhat stressful conversations, and after the final funeral plans had taken place, I joined the family at the Levaya. And I recall watching this older son struggling with the abrupt sounds of a shovel penetrating a mound of dirt, and the heavy thuds of the earth on the wooden lid of his father's coffin. And I heard him struggling his way through the words of the Kaddish. And as is my custom, I stayed till the grave was completely filled in. I never ever want to leave that to a machine or people who have no connection to the deceased. And I stood next to this bereft human being. And as the two of us, the last ones, prepared to leave the cemetery, he stopped, he turned towards me and said, "Rabbi, you just grew a beard." It was a strange, double-sided compliment, but a most heartful one indeed. So it's breathtaking to see the vast advances in the participation of women rabbis in the progressive, conservative, and even, yes, in the Orthodox movement in the past century. Who would have imagined the developments that have occurred since the first declarations and decisions to allow women to be ordained as rabbis? So observing mitzvot, at least to me, is the primary way we live a Jewish and a religious life. We express our search for God and our quest to live in holiness through the observance of whatever you think mitzvot are. And they inspire us by focusing our thoughts and elevating our feelings. And hopefully they guide us towards behavior imbued with certain values and goals. To me, the observance of mitzvot shapes my actions and sanctifies on many occasions our behavior as a community. And we make ourselves open to the Spirit of God and each other through the act of fulfilling mitzvot. Now, throughout the ages, a small number of women sought to fulfill the mitzvot from which women were exempted, because they were determined by time, mitzvot she'azman grama, and women very often were found their domain in domestic matters. However, in the past century, accelerated in the last decades, women have sought to suffuse their lives with greater understanding of Torah and sharing mitzvot, and by integrating more Jewishness in their lives, women have enriched themselves by the daily routines of Torah and seeking the Almighty both in public and private spheres. So one of the greatest challenges to Judaism in America and abroad has been the advent of the women's movement. For most of its history, Judaism was, of course, a patriarchal religious tradition, relegating women to a lower status than men. And as I just said, the traditional domain of women was their home, and even though they were always responsible for preparing food, it was the male rabbi who regulated the practice of kashrut, the way they had to cook. So religious activities that took place outside the public sphere, such as study, prayer, and acts of loving kindness, were considered mandatory for men only. And while the reform movement of the 19th century adopted some measures intending to equalize that role of women in the synagogue, it's not until the 1970s that the structure of Judaism begins to change in response to the, that time, very feminist critique. So once that so-called feminist revolution burst on the scene in the 60s, it was only a matter of time before the liberal, progressive movements of American and European Judaism began to contemplate fully including women by voting to train and ordain women for religious leadership as rabbis. In 1972, Hebrew Union College, which is the Reform Rabbinical Seminary, made the decision to ordain women, promptly giving its own student, Sally Priesand, the distinction of becoming the first woman rabbi in America. And the conservative movement did not sanction women's ordination until 1983, with the first conservative woman rabbi, Amy Eilberg, graduating 2 years later. As more rabbis are women and cantors, and as they serve as role models, it has become quite commonplace for women to accept all the religious responsibilities and enjoy all the religious benefits that were formerly the domain of men only. Now, more recently, and I would probably put myself in there as well, the egalitarian emphasis has been replaced by a feminization of contemporary Judaism, reclaiming aspects of traditional Judaism which relate to the female experience, and many have begun to introduce new rituals and perspectives into their Judaism. Most importantly for me, Jewish history is being rewritten to include women's experiences, as for instance, in the unique prayers for women called tchines or tchinot, which are prayers of supplication, and they were written in Yiddish predominantly, but they were also found in Ladino and Arabic, and very often they were at the back and the beginning of ordinary prayer books. So we know that women at that time had a very personal connection to the Almighty, and it's the very topic I wrote about for my formal rabbinic thesis prior to receiving smicha. In the modern version of the Midrash, very many Jewish texts are being reinterpreted to uncover a woman's point of view, and Jewish theology has been rethought, and even God has been reconceived, if you will. And probably all of you have read theologian Judith Plasko's now very famous book, Standing Again at Sinai, and it revisits, of course, the themes of Torah, God, and Israel. And it has, in many ways, reshaped the meanings of Jewish community and theology from, at that time, I would say, a very feminist perspective. Meanwhile, new prayers have been composed to reflect the experience of Jewish womanhood, such in volumes by poet or poetess, I would call her Marcia Falk. And you all know that Jewish prayer and study groups have sprung up very often around Rosh Chodesh, the first of the lunar month, an occasion to observe the new moon, but also look at those texts. For me personally, and that might surprise you, I see myself predominantly as a rabbi. That I'm a female one is secondary to me. And I realize that I owe all the women who came before me, who struggled their way towards inclusion as rabbis in our diverse movements, I owe them that very facile attitude. I'm grateful for the ability to uncover the many historical women who throughout the ages led their communities in prayer, in text study and other ritual aspects. For instance, you might know that there was someone called the Maid of Lublin who taught her community from behind a screen in the 15th century. That the Matrona in the Talmud was one of the women who financially supported her synagogue, and that Fraulein Rabbinerin Regina Jonas was ordained by Rabbi Max Beiteman in 1939 in Berlin, the first European woman to be ordained, and who then unfortunately died in Auschwitz. So I think as rabbis, male and female, we have an obligation to uncover these stories, whether these women functioned in Iran and Iraq, or like Donna Gracia Hanassi in London, or amongst the hidden crypto-Jewish communities in Spain and Portugal. Especially I hope we'll spend some time on that, on the music of the Jews of Belmonte, which is a tiny town in the mountains of Portugal, which was established by Jews who actually left Portugal in 1492 and fled to the mountains. And for many centuries they thought they were the only Jews left, until a salesman came by, was invited for dinner, and he said the Shema. And all of them understood the word Adonai, and they realized that there was another Jew there. And so it's a fascinating community, also because most of the songs and most of the rituals were, at that time of discovery, performed by the women and not by the men. And it was an interesting way of looking at it. So I'm honored to be this community's first female rabbi, I would say just rabbi, and I look forward to discover and to pray and to learn with all of you. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, what are we doing now?
Rabbi Chava, I know you said that no formal thanks were necessary, but we would really like to express our very warm appreciation of the address. Yes, I've crept up behind you. Like the pantomime, she's behind you. But thank you very much for your powerful and moving address. It seems to me to start so appropriately with converso Jews, women who cling on to their Judaism in spite of forced conversion. And you so wonderfully trace that progression across the centuries towards a period when we very much welcome women rabbis, but women rabbis and women leaders are becoming increasingly influential as thinkers and as pastoral figures in our communities. It seems to me the story you're telling is a story of women's resilience, of their ability to face struggle, to endure, and to triumph. But it's also a story of women's genius, their creativity, and their sense that the world is always ripe for peaceful and thoughtful transformation. And in that way, I think we begin to see an intersection between what you've said to us this evening and this occasion of Women's Day in South Africa. When I was growing up in Durban, my mother belonged to the Black Sash, which was a women's movement for peaceful resistance to apartheid. Helen Suzman, who you'll get to know more about, a very feisty woman, stood up almost alone in Parliament to the apartheid government, in spite of extraordinarily vindictive attacks and abuse. And yet it seemed that apartheid would last forever. Strike the women and you strike a rock. It was something we thought about, something we whispered. It had a magical mantra-like power, but we never imagined really that things could change. But they have. And so I think as these two streams flow together, the journey of Jewish women and the journey of African women, we see what women are really capable of achieving in sustaining and changing our society. And so I want to end again with a very warm word of welcome. Brucha haba'a, Rabbi Chava. You are very welcome here. We are your Beiteman family. And we hope this is the beginning of a very long, warm, and fruitful collaboration. Shabbat Shalom.
I'm always getting confused with all those pages. I'm also going to introduce you at some point. I had the pleasure of writing a prayer book. I only have 2 copies with me, but I set it up as a page of Talmud. So the prayer is in the middle, the translation is underneath it or next to it, and then there is commentary by Jews and non-Jews on the prayer. So I hope at some point that I can introduce it to you, and we can maybe use it here and there a little bit. All right, let's see. So I'm not used to the pages going from here to there. We are going to continue with the Aleinu on page 586. I'm going to ask, let's see, Ruth and Tess to come up and open and close the ark for us.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ימעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבת אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
I was saying to Ruthie could actually sing, I just know how to dub it. Singing, not so much. Have a seat for a minute, people. Okay. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and those that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brothers and sisters walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give to them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than mere words or sounds. So look for me in the people I've known and loved. And if you can't give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not on your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, and by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of those that need to be free. Love does not die, we people do. So when all that is left of me is love, quite simply, give me away. We remember with love all those who were dear to us and have died. They were our parents, they were our siblings, other relatives, our partners, our husbands, wives, and children. We lived with all of these people. We lived with colleagues and people close to us, and we shared moments of great celebration and joy, and also moments of sadness. And as we all hold all of those memories, the bitter ones together with the sweet, we give thanks for their legacy of wisdom and tradition and Judaism and love. And tonight we remember.
Tonight we remember those whose yortsides occurred in the last week. Solomon Bass, father of Anthony Bass. Sam Burlon, father-in-law of Fulvio Burlon, grandfather of Mila Ravid. Oscar Erstein, father of Rosalind Rosenthal. Samuel Holtz Apfel, remembered by Rochelle Holtz Apfel. Jacob Canar, father of Avi Canar. Harry Rose, husband of Alicia Rose. Frank Shee, husband of Leslie Shee, father of Catherine Stewart. And Marion Putziger, mother of Michael Kallenbach. May their memory be for a blessing.
Amen. So I'm going to ask you to please rise as one community. If there's anybody here in the first 11 months of mourning, and only if you're comfortable, I'd ask you to step up front. In liberal Judaism and progressive Judaism, we stand and say Kaddish together, which I think is a wonderful tradition. But while doing that, we also do not see the people who might be remembering or in mourning in our community. So I combined it. So if there's anybody here in the first 11 months of mourning or here for Kaddish, and ask them to step up front while we also stand together and say Kaddish. In that way, it gives us an opportunity to reach out to those people we have in unity and give us the opportunity to someone to start and comfort those who might be in mourning and who are remembering.
Announcements.
I just actually would just like to do the Adon Olam words.
Can we just do announcements?
You want to do announcements? Okay,
Yeah.
you go do announcements.
Okay. There's quite a lot in the bulletin this week, but let me try and reduce it. We are now going on a major fundraising drive. And the first of our events is a silent auction to commemorate our 70th anniversary of Beit Emmanuel.
Something like that.
The fundraising committee is planning a silent online auction in September to raise $250,000 in support of Beit Emmanuel's upcoming 70th anniversary. Please support the effort by providing some high-value auction items. Include a picture of the item, a description, as well as the price you think should be reasonably obtained for this, and send it to the fundraising at beitemanuel.co.za. For more information, it's all in the bulletin. Tomorrow is the bar mitzvah of Adam Fradkin, who is a Beit Luria congregant. Rabbi Julia will be taking the service. Judy Hodis is catering, which is always a treat. Everybody is welcome, and actually it would be really great to have representatives of our shul here as well. Monday night is Tisha B'Av, which is, for those who don't know, it's really a service of mourning. Commemorates the destruction of the temples, and we will read from the Book of Lamentations. Please come, it'll be at 7 o'clock, and it'll be held here on the bima.
Bring your own pillow.
Bring your own?
Because we're sitting on pillows, so bring your own pillow.
Next Wednesday morning is the Anne Frank documentary. We'll be hosting the Historic Documentary Film Society, who'll be screening this. And it's a really highly ranked documentary, narrated by Dame Helen Mirren, and traces aspects of Anne Frank's diary from the hiding place. Please diarise and do come to that. And Peter, on Sunday morning, if I'm correct, but you can come and tell us.
Hi everybody, just to remind you, Sunday morning, 10:30 for 11, we've got a book launch and talk about Anthony Ackerman's riveting memoir about adoption. I've read the book, it's absolutely amazing, and it's free, so just come and spend an hour or so discussing a very interesting and very fraught topic, and hopefully get some insights into adoption. Look forward to seeing you.
Sunday, the day after tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Sunday.
Shabbos, Kodesh. Okay. Paul, you go right.
Thank you. Good evening, all. I've got really fantastic announcements. An honorary award is a profound gesture of respect given to a person to publicly acknowledge, recognize their performance, value, and contribution to an organization or a community. At a ManCom meeting last night, a resolution was presented and passed unanimously with acclaim to award Professor Merle Williams the position of Honorary President of Beiteman. It is the first time that this award has been made at Beiteman, and it's appropriate to inform you all today, Women's Day. A special service and ceremony and a brocha to properly mark this wonderful achievement and acknowledgement will be announced shortly. In the meantime, Merle, congratulations, Mazel Tov Gakulu, to you and from a grateful and loving congregation. No, there's nothing. We're going to have a proper one.
We're going to have a proper one. I'm all for that. So, okay. I know that we were supposed to do another poem, and I did not bring my shofar simply because I forgot. So I'll keep that for the high holidays. It is a very special shofar. It's about 150, 160 years old. And I hid it in a box that said soundbar because I wasn't quite sure I was able to get it into this country, because I thought it's a really old ram's horn, a huge one, not polished. And I thought, like, I'm going to get myself into more trouble than I need to have by doing this. I just thought, and so I hope that Jessica will forgive me. I did not see any children, so we're not blessing them because Noah just disappeared, but that's okay. I told you last time that you can tell from the melody of a prayer where it comes from. And I made you sing the German drinking Adon Olam. It sounds like a drinking song. It is a drinking song. And I just would like us to just end with everybody singing instead of just Jessica or Rory or here and there a little bit the rabbi who doesn't sing. I just know how to daven. Okay, so it's on page 625 and expect to hear everybody, okay? Because I do not like singing in public. Have you figured that out, right? Okay, here we go. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra let nasa b'chefetzo kol ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora adon olam ve'hu haya ve'hu hove והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם והוא אחד ואין שני לעם שלו להכבירה אדון עולם בלי ראשית ולא העוז והמזרע אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא עת נשא בחפצו כל אדון עולם והוא אלי וחי גולי וצור חבלי בצרה אדון עולם והוא ניסי מנת כוסי ביום מקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל עת נשא בחפצו כל אדון עולם בידו אפקיד רוחי בית ישן וירא אדון עולם גביעתי אדון עלי ולא ירא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for doing all this work, Jessica and Rory and everybody reading and introducing me to if you touch a woman, you hit a rock. Is that correct? Something like that? If you strike the woman, you hit the rock. Mazel Tov. Come and join us for kiddush, motzi, and everything else next door. Merle, Mazel Tov. Much, much, much needed and also honored to see you being honored. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.